One of the stranger alien encounter reports I've come across happened in Leam Lane, Gateshead, England. It was June 2nd, 1964. 14-year-old David Wilson was going to get some straw for his rabbits. He was accompanied by some friends who were hanging out with him at his parents' farm. As they made their way out to the field, they were surprised to see a group of what they originally thought were children standing over by a large stack of hay. As they stared at them, they began to realize that they weren't children at all. In fact, they weren't even human. Wilson described them as standing about 2.5 feet tall, dressed in bright green outfits. The strangest thing, in his opinion, were their hands. They glowed, quote, like electric bulbs, unquote. He counted 10 of these beings standing near the haystack, and there was between 6 and 8 more standing on top of the stack. From what he and the others could tell, these beings were searching for something in the haystack. What they were searching for is anybody's guess. While Wilson was focused on the beings around the stack, other kids present observed things missed by Wilson, which they later told investigators. One child described seeing a strange figure dressed in a black uniform, carrying a baton with pink stripes. This being was sitting on the top of the barn, staring at Wilson and his friends. For some reason, the witness got the sense that he was the leader. Another child, a girl, caught an even more peculiar sight out in the pasture. She observed one of these beings sitting on top of a cow, apparently trying to ride it. Confused and frightened, Wilson and his friends ran back to his house. Not long after, a silvery, disc-shaped object, about the size of a car, was observed taking off from that same location. While skeptics would say that this is just the wild imagination of children, it should be noted that around the time of the Wilson Farm incident, UFOs were being reported quite regularly in the Gateshead area. Gateshead was also the location of a very famous and utterly bizarre 40s-era alien encounter, one that was detailed in Richard D. Hall's amazing documentary, The Gateshead Grey. While the sight of a glowing-handed, non-human being riding a cow might be a little strange, it doesn't even compare to what a father and son saw while out coon hunting in the woods around Martin County, Kentucky. It was 2001. A father and son coon hunting up at Nats Creek near Inez had a chance encounter with a very strange creature. This case can be found in Barton Nunnally's book, The Inhumanoids. They had just returned to their truck from a day out hunting, only to find that it was stuck in the mud. While attempting to free it, their hunting dogs ran off into the woods and would not return to the truck at their master's call. When called, the dogs would walk towards the truck, but would always stop short, as if something at the truck or the truck itself frightened them. After a while, the dogs ran off. This was almost immediately followed by a strange sound off in the woods. It sounded like something large was hopping, but going in circles. At that point, the witnesses noticed that 2 of their friends who had been out hunting with them were parked on the top of a nearby ridge. They were flashing their headlights, hoping that the father and son would flash back. The father then turned on his headlights to signal back. It was while flashing their lights that they observed something that terrified them. Standing there in front of their truck was a weird creature. They stared at it, and whatever it was stared back. To the witnesses, it was unlike any animal they had ever seen before. The 2 friends atop the ridge also saw the creature. They described it as standing about 6.5 feet tall, hunched over. It had yellow eyes, a long snout, and sharp teeth that they guessed were about 3 inches in length. It was covered in fur, which was long and dark brown in color. To the witnesses, the creature appeared to walk on 2 legs normally, but as it turned and made its way back into the forest, they were able to observe that the creature was hopping, not running. Its hop reminded them of a kangaroo. A type of half-dog, half-kangaroo creature was also reported in Italy, Mexico, and Poland, and in nearly half a dozen US states. One of the most interesting aspects of the creature was the color of its eyes, yellow. Around the time I began looking into sightings of this weird hopping dog creature, a viewer left a comment on one of my videos discussing his own encounter with a strange entity back in 1998. It too had yellow-colored eyes. Since I started Beyond Creepy, I've received well over 300 stories from viewers, some sent privately and some sent in the comments of the videos. I'm committed to sharing these accounts going forward, as I feel it's important to present them, as they may be helpful to others who have had similar experiences. This account was posted by someone calling themselves John Johnson. Sadly, they did not list where this happened, but I will read their comment verbatim. I remember having an alarming experience with a creature in 1998. I was 28 at the time and would walk to the store less than a mile away from my house. I lived in a rural area where my closest neighbors was 2.5 miles away, and the store, which was small and had only one employee, a couple of shelves, and an employee-only bathroom. I needed coffee and milk. I grabbed $8 and walked out the door to head to the store. I walked to the store and said hi to the woman at the counter, Sandy, who I was friends with and knew well because it was the only store near me. And she talked about seeing weird movements in the wooded areas by the store. I said I would check it out as my curiosity got the best of me. It was about 7 p.m., so it was getting dark, so Sandy let me borrow a flashlight she had on her car keys, a mini LED flashlight with not very good battery life. So I had to move fast to make sure the battery wouldn't die. I got to the wooded area Sandy said she saw the movements. All of a sudden, I hear a twig break. Terrified and wanting to believe it was my mind playing tricks on me, I shouted, "Sandy!" No reply. I keep walking and hear another twig break. So I stand still to make sure it isn't me. And I hear another twig break. Now I know it isn't me. Thinking it's Sandy, I shout, "Sandy!" No response. So I point the flashlight light to that area where the sound was, and I see this tall creature that looked like a man, but it had yellow eyes and distorted shoulders, and the clothes it was wearing were very dirty and ripped. The teeth were very blunt, like if the tip of a knife wasn't pointy. It had this skin-like matter in its mouth. I proceeded to run as fast as I humanly could to my house and locked the door. I stayed in my house the rest of the night. Filled with fear, I didn't sleep either and kept checking the windows. To this day, I don't know what the creature was or what the skin-like material in its mouth was. I want to thank everyone for watching. I've been out of the loop the last few weeks due to construction being done on the building I live in. It's been weeks of nothing but sawing and hammering and sawing, and not exactly conducive to creating watchable content. I'm happy to say that their work is done and I'll finally be able to get back to work. Anyways, again, thanks for watching.